let's talk about what we can learn from people who are dating who happen to be on the spectrum. Um, my son is on the spectrum, and I've seen him interact with many different people. Uh, and he's not as high functioning as the people on love on the spectrum is, but you know, I observe him. I see a lot of his tendencies, and I see a lot of that in these other people, whether his is more extreme or less extreme or whatever. I just see it a lot of times. But one thing that I've noticed about my son is that as a neurotypical person, or as close as I can be to a neurotypical person, because I don't think I'm a neurotypical person, but as close as I can be to a neurotypical person or a higher functioning person, as they would like to put it, um, like I deal with things like depression, and I'm not saying my son doesn't. I don't know if he does. Um, I don't, but and I don't. Uh, Me and my son stress out about different things. He's stressed because he doesn't have his favorite popcorn, or he's lost one of his dinosaurs under the bed, or something like that, right? And I'm stressed out about, you know, providing for my family, or being a good partner to my wife, and being a good father to my children, right? Being an upstanding person in my community, things of that nature. And what I've learned from my son is not to pity him. Like, I don't pity my son. I don't envy him either. But I definitely can appreciate the fact that he gets to live a different type of life than I do. He just gets to live a different type of life. And I feel like a lot of the things that neurotypical, like, for an example, like, I'm like 99.9% sure that my son will never have a girlfriend or a partner, right? Now, we as neurotypical people, we look at that and we go, oh man, it can never be me, blah, 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 because you're thinking about it, you know, from your own perspective. But my son he don't care. He not missing out on anything. He don't care about having kids. He's not missing out on not having kids. You know what I'm saying? He gets to essentially live a very free life, provided that his mother and father continue to take care of him, which we don't have any plans of not doing. And he has a great support system. And that's not, I know that it doesn't apply to a lot of people with mental health problems and other ailments. But my son has that, he has that structure, that infrastructure. And me and my wife, we just observe him and we're just like, man, like, look how happy he is. Look how carefree he is. And he gets to be like this for his whole life. He gets to be like this. So like I said, though I don't envy him, because there are pros and cons, I do, however, appreciate and respect his journey and his plight. I do. With that being said, when I watch a show like Love on the Spectrum, what I observe is a group of people that are truly free in so many ways. They're so free in so many ways, right? And yeah, they have some setbacks, and like I said, there's pros and cons to everything. But man, are they free in so many ways? And that freedom, especially from the perspective or from the group of men, it's creating these beautiful exchanges. It's creating these very beautiful dynamics between the couples, and I picked up on it as a man, as a married man. I sent the message to my wife. I had saw a clip and I was like, autistic people are the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's true or not, but I really feel like that, just I'm just observing. I'm just like, man, look how open and honest they are, and look how deep their love is. Look how excited they get when they see each other, and how they enter. It seems like the love never dies. It never goes away. It doesn't wane. They don't get tired of the other person. There's no ulterior motives. They're like right up front. You know what I mean? They're just like open and honest with each other, and it's refreshing to see. It's refreshing to see, and it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring, right? And I can see a lot of what women are talking about. I can see how women want men to be. Like, I really can see that by watching this show. Like, I'm like if we can get as close as we can get to the way that these men are acting, and the way that these men are, how they are, like their character and their habits and their tendencies, if we can get close to that as neurotypical men, man, we could change the world. We really could.
Love on the Spectrum is a perfect case study on how ego has damaged all of modern dating. Season 3 is coming out, and even though the show is about people who are on the autism spectrum and they're struggling navigating through dating, they are light years ahead of us. First of all, if you listen to them, there's so much genuineness, authenticity, especially when they describe what they want in a partner. You'll hear them say things, I want someone who I can communicate with, someone who's kind, someone who's polite, someone who's respectful. Versus if you ask anyone walking down the street what they're looking at for dating, what you'll hear back is this huge long list that really doesn't have anything to do with someone's character. So it's really not a good indicator of how they will be as a partner. And we should all take a moment to self-reflect, because like, how is that working out for you? Really think our whole problem with modern dating then is ego. Watching them date on Love on the Spectrum, you have excitement over ego, where in neurotypical dating, we see a lot of power dynamics. Very much, I'm going to play hard to get. I don't want to look too forward. God forbid it looks like I like this person. The problem with that in modern dating is what we are missing is vulnerability and openness.
And those are typically, when women do that, those are typically reactions to men, because God forbid a woman professes or, tells a man that she's interested, because what are most men going to do with that information? Right? What are most men going to do if a woman is forthcoming and just says, I like you and I want you? Right? Tupac said, I don't want it if it's that easy. Men, we are driven by this desire to conquer. We're driven by this desire to manipulate and to dominate. Right? And so we have created these dynamics where women can't be forthright. They can't be forthcoming. They can't be, like the people on the Love of Spectrum show. Because I feel like most women would be like that. I think most women would be like that. If men didn't create this environment where it's very volatile and unstable for women to be expressive and open and honest with men without being taken advantage of, I think women would be very much like how they are on Love on the Spectrum. You know what I mean? Because the only love that I've ever really felt deeply has come from women. I know women love deeply, and I know women, they don't have all of these ulterior motives, and that ultimately ends up being a problem for women, because women are not playing a game the majority of the time. They're just like, they're not stupid. They're not naive. They don't want to be taken advantage of, but they're not playing a game. I've never looked at it as a game, and maybe when she's young, yeah, maybe, 18, 19, 22, 23. Yeah, I could see that. But I'm talking about like grown adult women, 30 years old, late 20s, even further, whatever. I'm a little older, but yeah, 30 years old, definitely. Like they don't want to, they're not doing that. They're not playing footsies with the dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, they let the guy know they want him. They let the guy know they like him, I should say. And hopefully the guy, does right. And if he fumbles, she leaves, But whenever women do act like that, they do play this game, I feel like that is that's like directly connected to how men are treating women. Directly connected to that.
two key components in making a relationship work. Something else we see is romantic chivalry without ulterior motive. I just love these men so much. They always show up on this date with gifts, with flowers, and it is not this ulterior motive. Is not with this intention, okay, if I give you this, then what do I get? Which we see
It's not transactional.
so much in neurotypical modern day dating. Like they truly don't.
And also what I've noticed in the with the men on the spectrum, when they get rejected, they don't get like ooh, they don't get mad. They just go, okay, no, I understand. Like I saw this one video. I wish I could show the clips. I'm pretty sure I'll get flagged. That's why I can't show any of the clips. But I saw this one clip where the dude like put his headphones on at the table because he needed the noise, the white noise or whatever he was saying. And the woman was like talking to him and he wasn't responding, right? Mind you, he's not being, in his mind, he's not being rude, right? So that's not what it was. He liked her. But anyways, she didn't like that. And then she like said in the middle of the, like, she just got to them. She was like, he's not listening to me. She said, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out. He still didn't hear her. Then finally she got his attention. He took off the headphones. She repeated herself. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't do well in public spaces. Like I need, you know what I'm saying? Like I need the noise to drown out the, you know, the distractions, you know, whatever, right? And she comes back and she goes, yeah, but basically she's like, but I like to go out and you clearly don't. So we're not going to work out. Did he crash out? Did he say you ugly anyway? He didn't cry. He just said, oh, okay. No, that's understandable. They ended the date. Like that was, it'd be stuff like that. I'm like, damn. Yeah, man. Yeah. We need to get our stuff together, man. This is crazy.
Like they truly don't have these calculated intentions. They're showing up with flowers. They are dressing nice. They're opening up the doors because they believe that's just how you should be. I really think the theme of this show is that love at its core is simple and that we are the ones who are overcomplicating it with our social scripts, with our egos. So I think it's an important question to ask ourselves. How would we be showing up in love and dating in life if our ego wasn't in our own way?
I would, like I said, you could call it ego. I do think it's ego for men, and yeah, but I don't think it's necessarily ego for women. I don't. I'm not. You're a woman. She would know better than me. I'm not saying she doesn't date with her ego or whatever. You know, I'm sure it plays a bigger role in neurotypical relationships from women. But I don't think I don't think it's the woman's ego that's getting in the way. I think it's the men's propensity for abuse that's getting in the way. It's how men don't actually protect women that's getting in the way. But love on the spectrum is definitely like a must watch for neurotypical men. And this is a prime example. It's another example of how women are telling men exactly what they want. Like exactly what they want. They're just coming. I've seen so many videos of women being like, this is exactly what we're looking for, fellas. You know, this dude's awesome. Men need to be like this guy. It's going to fall on deaf ears. Dudes are going to see that or not see that. But most dudes who see that, they're still going to say, oh, women want a provider and a protector. Women want a provider and a protector. They want a masculine man. Whole time women are like, no, I want one of these types. I want a guy that act like, you know, I want a neurotypical guy that loves me deeply and respects me deeply. Dude, I saw another video not a video. My wife was watching the show earlier and I just saw it before I went out. They were like hanging out at the beach and the girl asked the guy to be her boyfriend and he obviously accepted. And then she said, can we kiss now? And he was like, absolutely. Consent. Everything they do is like consent. Can we do this? Can I touch you now? Can I give you a hug? Like none of like the guy, like most of the dudes, even though they, you know, they do. It's funny because like they don't really understand boundaries, but when it comes to dating, though, they do. It's like crazy. So I'm like, if they can understand boundaries, how the fuck can't we understand, you know, neurotypical men? How the hell can't we understand boundaries? There's so many lessons. There's so many lessons in this show, and I really want men to watch it, but I know we're not gonna watch it. But I hope we do. I hope you guys do. Seriously.